Hello and welcome. I'm Radhaa,
And I'm Danielle.
and we're following up with our last conversation on inversions. We just wanted to do some informal popcorn shares to see what these terms mean and how they may show up in our life. So today's term is dun dun dun, dun succubus. We realize this topic can be a little touchy and perhaps offensive to those that haven't done shadow work. But just know that it's not our intention to shame or offend anyone, as we appreciate the deep sacredness of sex. And in order to understand what sacred is, we truly have to understand what the opposites are. So, jumping right in, welcome, Danielle.
Thank you, Radha. It's good to be back. And this topic is so exciting for me.
It is a
I love.
juicy one.
What was that?
I said it is a juicy one.
It is a juicy one. And here, let me adjust my computer. Yeah, so I love sex. Who doesn't love sex, right?
Sacred
But
sex.
but yeah, that's what I was gonna say. More importantly, sacred sex. And after talking on our first if you've watched the first one, guys, what exactly is inversions? We did kind of dive into it unintentionally. It kind of just came out naturally, and I believe it's because it's really important. It's an important topic that not a lot of people go over. Maybe they do, but not as extensively. So we're trying to debunk some common words, like we've mentioned in this whole spiritual community, but everyone's familiar with sex, but the type of sex that an individual seeks to have when they've done a lot of inner work is a different type of sex. And again, it's a sacred sex. So, like you were saying, Radha, to truly understand that, we have to know what the opposites are. So, I'm gonna let you dive in and kind of start off with this, and then we'll kind of play off each other.
Absolutely. So, succubus is a female demon supposed to descend upon and have sexual intercourse with a man while he sleeps. It's an evil spirit or demon. But succubuses are real. So, I think we should just start with something as simple as social media, because there's a lot of succubus energy going on there. And what it is, it's this very really shiny, bright, exciting energy that has like an intensity behind it, but it's an illusion, because the intensity is targeting a root, the root chakra, but it's targeting it in a way that it is going to feed off that energy. And a lot of women who are on Instagram that are like these models and like the Kardashians, their whole model of business model basically is succubus energy behind it. So basically what it means is that there what you see is one thing, but what goes on behind the scenes, like if you lift the veil a little bit, you'll literally see a succubus. So I'll give you an example that really happened to me. And when I was living in Hollywood, I got invited to Lil Wayne's. He was having some kind of an event. It was on a studio lot. And so I go there, and there's lots of beautiful women and really loud music, and I didn't really like the energy. It was like I can't even have like a conversation because it was too crazy, a little too loud, and lots of stuff going on there. So I go home, and when I get home, and my mom was staying with me in Hollywood, and so I go, wow, I'm seeing this it literally looks like a demon, because she was red, and she had really big boobs. And at that time I had really big boobs too, so it was like and she was flying though. She had wings, and but her, like, she had like that really sexy body, but her face was a demon. So she had followed me home from the party, literally. And I said, "Oh my God." And I asked my mom, "Are you seeing what I'm seeing?" And she's like, "Oh my gosh." And so I said, "Could you describe it?" And she's like, she's red. She's like really voluptuous, has like a perfect, like sexy body, but she's a demon face. And I was like, wow, I can't believe I'm seeing this. And I can't believe you're seeing this. And it was actually talking to me, and it was like trying to get me to let it in, because it wanted, and it was kind of giving me these feelings of like, I know it sounds super, super wild, but it was like, be reckless, it's like, even though I was at home and not doing anything, it was like trying to, um, it wanted to access me, my body, as a portal, because it was trying to be like it wanted to work through me to feed off of men. And
Right.
so I was like, "Oh no, no, honey, no, no, no." I was like, "Mom, could you help me?" And she did her magical thing and sent it, sucked it up and sent it back to source, never to return again. But that's just an example of what like a succubus literally is, if you could see it.
Wow, that sounds, and it's interesting too from a perspective of someone, let's say they just join us for the first time. They're going to be like, what is she talking about? And just to clarify, guys, Radha and her mother, they're very gifted. They are, women of a lineage, come from a lineage of shamans. And so when you start to do work like this, you do have a veil that kind of gets it just, you start to see through the veil. And the truth is, we all have that ability.
Hmm.
And a lot of times, and we'll talk on this in another podcast, but mind control is very powerful. And succubus use people who are heavily influenced under mind control to kind of use them as well. So that could be another way. So the fact that you were able to, you kind of have that discipline or strength to walk away from that is pretty impressive, because there's so many times I have even been told, like, Danielle, just do OnlyFans, and I'm like, what? Why would? And there's nothing wrong with OnlyFans, but for me, I'm like, no, guys, I work with energy. Don't you understand? Like, everything is energy. Like, I don't want that energy sucking off of me or trying to me giving my essence away. Like, that stuff is sacred. And so I really feel like succubus is a word that sounds almost like, oh, sure, Danielle, that sounds like a fairy tale. But in reality, it's not. It's that is like the truest, deepest definition of a succubus. But a lot of people experience succubus in just your everyday life, and it could get really toxic. And that's why, we wanted to bring it up, because with true sacred sex, you are able to really connect with your partner. And again, it's mind, body, spirit. You can connect your heart, your head to your heart, to your, private parts, because you've got, the root chakra, and it'll be wild. But when you have an individual who is, in a place mentally where they get influenced by that type of demonic energy, and it could bring you into places that are very dangerous. So you can almost get carried away with certain things, and that could be an overindulging in unhealthy relationships, sex, alcoholism, and it just, the list goes on, because the behaviors, it's meant to create that distortion in your mind, so you do play that role, like you act it out, like they use you as a portal to act it out.
Mm-hmm.
So it's pretty wild how deep this stuff goes. And it is not our intention, again, to shame or like, when we spoke on this yesterday, we thought a lot about it, because it's true that sex is very sacred, but it's also uncommon these days for people to have that perspective. So there are a lot of people who do have it. However, we do realize that not everybody is on that same understanding or awareness. So there was this moment where we're like, well, we don't want to insult anybody. But it needs to be said, and this is why we're here. We're here to help you understand and educate and be like, hey, there's no shame. We're not trying to make you feel less than, like, yeah.
Well,
So
there's a power in awareness, and so you know, being that there is a spiritual work going on, you have to understand that more portals of the dark have been open, and that's, you know, just Google CERN and go down that rabbit hole, because portals are literally being blasted open. But you know, there's and another thing is, and one of my really incredible healer friends, another one, we were talking about how now is a time where every entity is sort of activating within us. So there are layers and layers, lifetimes and lifetimes, lineages and lineages. So what's happening is, if somebody's weak-minded, or say they've had severe trauma in their childhood, and let's just be honest, like, really, who hasn't? You know, like, honestly, like, so everyone has that root core trauma, right? And when you don't do something about it, when you let that trauma fester, it starts to fester like a wound festering. It gets more pussy, it gets more disgusting. And what it does is it's a breeding ground for these entities that are awakening. And the first time my friend was telling me about this, and she's a master healer too, and she was saying, I was like really having a hard time sitting with that wow, I can't believe that, like, all of the entities are activating right now. And so, and not only that, they're like letting more portals of darkness in. And this is so not fear mongering. This is not fear porn. We're just having a very candid conversation. A lot of times people will be like, oh, that's fear porn. And no, when we're just having a really, like, normal conversation, except it doesn't seem normal because nobody in this whole world talks about this stuff, but it's what's going on. So you have to understand that with all these activations that are dark, not divine, that people are getting accessed more. So that, you know, succubus that I encountered, it you know, even though I was at that level, I could see it, I could feel it, it was still seducing me. You know what I mean? I was like, whoa. It kind of gave me this, like, feeling,
right,
the reckless feeling, and it wasn't even in me, it was just outside of my field, but I was still being influenced by that. And I had to say, no, 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 no. I had to cut it while it was still trying to work its seduction. The whole thing is seduction. It doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman. It wants to seduce. And so, yeah, the onslaught of the OnlyFans, they're trying to normalize the succubus in our faces,
right,
in everyday life, that it's just normal to be naked all the time. And while being naked is beautiful and wonderful and normal, the intention behind it for these celebrities is not normal and healthy, and like I'm walking in nature, or you know what I mean? It's like, come look at me and like lust over me. I want your power. I'm going to take your power so I can be more powerful. And so that's the mindset of the succubus. It wants to suck the sexual energy of another, and it doesn't even have to require sex, you know? So
right,
that's
exactly.
yeah, what we put our attention to, we're giving power to. So that's like basically that's a whole you know, business model for the Kardashians, is like that succubus energy, and it destroys people. It can make people mentally ill and crazy that are engaged with them. And so that is a side effect of someone who has succubus inside them. They will suck the life out of someone else, and then they will leave them to be like mentally ill and crazy because they've stolen part of literally their life force energy, like their soul fragment. So they're actually thieves of your soul. They fragment your soul, and then they pull it out and they take it for themselves because they don't have a soul. And then you find yourself being confused and empty. Why do you think all these guys go crazy?
Right. And liberation's a beautiful thing when it's done with a partner, because you are able to come to in a relation, like in a situation with an individual where you're already whole and you're not taking from that person. You guys are almost like expanding. There's like this level of expansion, and it's more because you're connecting through the heart. And with the succubus energy, you're going to be left feeling depleted in a way, or even kind of just
desperate.
like desperate and satiated. You're going to want more and more and more. And it's, again, when you're intimate with the right person, that feeling is longer lasting, and it's a little bit more like the flames are like, whoa, for that person, rather than, these multiple people like a smorgasbord. And it's almost like, yeah, it's a feeling that you'll never be satiated with. It's pretty
It's a hunger. It's actually a hunger of the soul. So what succubus will do to like a man, it will, or even a woman too, because men have succubus too. Let's not beat around the bush. Like, all these hot celebrity guys, they have succubuses inside them too. And so it leaves you feeling empty and dry, and you want more and more and more. It becomes an addiction. So it's like becomes a sexual addiction, or like I have to see that person, or it's like this really intense addiction that's not based, it can be all consuming, but it's actually not based on divine union. It's not based on healthy, grounded energy, because true love, you're gonna feel like, but you're also gonna feel grounded too, because there's a sustainable feeling to it, where you can ride through the ups and the downs, and that you're on this ride together, whereas it's not one person being obsessed with the other. There's a mutual that, like, basically it's like the figure eight, where the energy keeps flowing, the infinity, it keeps flowing between the two people, and succubus energy is just a one-way street. So that's how you know. That's how you know.
Yes. Oh, I love it. That's nice.
I know these topics are a little bit heavy, you guys, but come on, we're adults. Let's just get real. The whole point is we want to share different words that you may hear, but you may not understand. And also just bringing light to darkness, because that's how we diffuse it. We don't diffuse dark by just pretending it doesn't exist. Keep sweeping it under the rug. I'm all about, hey, it exists, so let's just look at it. There's nothing to be afraid of when you look. Those are fables. When you look, you gain your power. It's not the other way around. People want to pretend like things like this don't exist, and then they just want to live very superficially. And you know what? That can only go so far. That's like kindergarten. Like, you just want to pretend that things are one way when actually the world is a whole nother way. You're just not looking. And by looking and seeing darkness, it doesn't make us dark. Okay, guys, I know a lot of people have that fear that, oh my God, I don't want to talk about anything. What you focus on attracts. And no, we're diffusing it. What you put light on diffuses it. So, I mean, that's...
Yeah, and it's so good. Yeah, I'm so sorry. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, that's why, Danielle and I, we always do the pillar of light activations. We're always running light, plasma light through us, and illuminating anything that's dark, because we're always cleansing, and so you should learn to do some some tips and tricks too, so that you can cleanse yourself every single day, because not a day goes by where you're walking amongst people, and these people, you know, they have entities too. So these entities, sometimes they're jumpers, they jump from one person to another. And so you just have to be vigilant, like not fearful, because fear is not the answer. I'm not promoting fear, I'm not promoting any of that. I'm promoting being conscious, being aware, so that you can be sustainable in your life and have a long, healthy life without having to succumb to illness and death because of succubus energy, which they can actually kill you because of their um, because of the way that they drain the life force.
Right.
And when you don't bring back what belongs to you, like say they take your soul fragments and they start to suck that life out of you, that may not lead to instant death, but it does lead to disease and slowly depleting life force. So your life force is important, you know, and that's why it's really important to think about who are you intimate with. You know, what are their standards? You know, are they aligned to yours? I mean, some people seriously don't care, but if you want to keep your health and vitality, you should care. You should know what somebody's about, because your body this is the only body you have in this lifetime. So it's really important to be vigilant and realize that there are people out there that are snatching soul fragments, not knowing, maybe they don't even know it, but that energy behind them, that succubus that actually runs their life, I repeat, it runs their life. If you look at these celebrities, like like Kylie Jenner, you look at her eyes, they're dead. You know what I mean? You can see the succubus behind that. And that's, you know, I'm not shaming like that. I'm just giving an example of where you can actually see it, because a lot of these people now have this crazy dead look in their eyes, and it's like you don't see
Right.
the sparkle of God's light, you see like this dead energy, and it's like you know, you're like, oh man, I gotta run. That's scary.
Right. And you know, this is actually part of having spiritual hygiene, because every day we shower and we have to clean ourselves, because if we didn't, we would get sick. Every day, you know, every day we have to eat a certain meal in order to sustain nutrients. If we didn't, we would, you know, get emaciated and maybe lose a bunch of weight, or maybe, I don't know. But the point is it's another form of taking care of your body, but spiritually and energetically, because the energy does transfer to other people. I mean, think about when you have a bad day and you're like, you know, it's and we'll talk about this probably another time, but the whole, like, if someone's going off, they're having that spew, throwing it off on someone. It's an emotional contagions is what you call it, I believe, Radha. But the point is, it's like, it's all connected. Your mind, your heart, your body. And if you're out of alignment in just one cat, let's say you're just totally have your ducks in a row, but in this category, it could throw everything off. Like, it could be the one thing that does you in. And it's not going to happen overnight, but it'll infiltrate in the slow way that it ends up manifesting into bigger issues. And I love how you're kind of going over this, Radha. This is really interesting, because in a way, succubus, it can sound so like fairy tale and not real, but it truly is the demon that they describe, because that energy is not pure. It does not come from source, and it's not there to help you be whole and help you be grounded. So beautiful way of explaining this, Radha. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Of course. And you know, I'm not here to have these conversations to like make people feel bad, because the truth is, like, I mean, you know, like I know I've had like entities before, you guys, like really seriously, before I really started to get into energy work. Like, it was astounding. And I mean astounding. The house cleaning I did. And of course I had a lot of help because I was really determined. And there was I've experienced I dated like a really famous actor before, and I thought I was in love with him, but it turned out he was like a carrier of succubus. And so I actually had to go through a real shamanic journey. And let me just tell you what these succubuses can do. Somehow this succubus or this person, basically like what was pulled out of my field was like a duplicate of him. And it wasn't, it was like holographic, but it was
Okay.
feeding off of me from inside. And
Wow.
what it did is it made me really like, how do I describe it? Like I was really anxious for him. I was really like, when am I going to see him again? Like there was this feeling of like uneasiness that was within me, and it
Yeah.
wasn't leaving very easily. And I was like, what is going on? And so finally, I was not really like open to talk about it. I was sort of being silently tormented, you know? And so
Yeah.
I went to my mom and I was like, all right, I need a healing. This is really bad. And so she pulls out this, holographic thing inside me, and it wasn't mine. It was connected to him in a succubus, and essentially it was feeding off of my emotions, and so yeah, it was like feeding off of my distress and my uneasiness about this relationship and my insecurities at that time. And um it was basically taking advantage of that part. And so I've been doing a lot of healing since then, and I understand that, like, you know yeah, like dating big celebrities, that's usually the answer. That's not going to make you happier because
Right.
a lot of times these people have a lot of entities inside them. And listen, I've used to be going to the studios to work with celebrities to help them, to help them heal and all kinds of stuff. So I'm not being a hater. I'm a lover, not a hater.
Right.
Everybody's amazing, and then when people choose to heal, I always say, yeah, come on, let's do this. So I'm not being a hater at all. I'm just telling you like what happened to me, because it's
Right.
really, really important to understand that this stuff is real. And so other celebrities would have the same thing going on, and they had that issue with their beloved or their person they thought they were in love with. And so I ended up being helping them clear that out. But there's a whole slew, like we have to keep going back to the root, to the root, to the root. Where's the root? And for me it was that feeling of like abandonment that came from my childhood, that feeling of
Mhm.
yeah, not receiving the love that I wanted from my father. And of course I have a great relationship with my father now, but that deep root and pain point was that the access point, okay, is what I'm trying to say. Because we all have access points to these entities, and they're usually connected to our deepest core wound. And so I just like to use myself as an example because it just makes it easier, and just letting you know, like, wow, I'm not above it. Listen, I've been through it. I used to have a lot of entities too, and I had to clear them out. And and at this day and age, I still, when I'm around a lot of people, I have to clear myself too, because I get hitchhikers and entities. They can't quite come in like the way that they used to, like into me, but
Right.
they can kind of latch on to your field. And if you don't send them back to source, they can start to gnaw at you.
Right. I'd like to add something to this because what you just described with that person, I actually experienced as well. And it was the way you explained it. I never really articulated it in such a way, or even like, I've never even talked to you about it, but I myself have experienced the exact same thing and I never realized that. But the difference, at least for me, was it went so far that he put me into the hospital. So like, guys, don't let it get to that point where you end up in a bad situation. I got out, thank God. And luckily I have a lot of support. I fell into personal development, healing. So like, we're here to share with you genuine knowledge from our experience, but also our awareness of doing the research, becoming like our own guru and helping ourselves to heal ourselves, and then seeking out friends and mentors and people we work with. And I work with Radhaa. So Radhaa, like, I really feel for you, because I as well experienced that, but I never realized until this very moment, like I had like an aha moment, that there was a holographic insert. It just totally occurred to me. So thank you for bringing that up. Huge vulnerable moment here for both of us. And never again will I ever let anybody have that much power over me, because I remember the feeling, and it gives you almost lose yourself, and it's scary. And that's where there's this disconnection from soul.
Mm-hmm.
And I know what it feels like to be connected to myself, and what it feels like to be connected to Creator, that there's nothing, I will never again have any relationship unless there is a soul connection, unless there is sacred sex. And since I've made that decision, nothing but good things in my life have happened. Nothing but beautiful people have come into my life. And so you don't really like crave that kind of stuff. And I'm not saying I'm, not sexual, because I certainly am, but you almost become like so vigilant in who you intermingle with, that the slightest, like, you can pick up on the slightest things with people. And it's not that there's a judgment, it's just there's not an alignment. And it's so easy the discernment. And it's so easy to be attracted to someone because people, they could say the right things or be charismatic or like be very sexy, but character, you could tell a lot about a person. You just got to give them a few months and you see their true character. It's so important.
It is so important, and it's important for our survival in this spiritual war, because and I always say there was a time when you could have been more flamboyant and experiment, whatever, right? The past is the past, but here we are in 2022, and things are really heating up, and there's many reasons too why you have to be really discerning over who enters into your field for so many reasons, which we talked about. The infiltration of basically the poison that's been going around, and how that affects people, how that affects people's minds, bodies, and also their souls, but also sexually. It's got a real impact, and it's not a good one. So people who are just kind of loosey-goosey in this time, I'd say, hey, you better armor yourself with the divine and really get sorted out. I'm not here to tell you what to do, but I'm just here to tell you don't want to make mistakes that you will regret, because now it's more than even just a succubus. There's a whole onslaught of other issues that are contagions that are transferring, that are way more. So we have to understand that, as we said yesterday, like, as more darkness comes, more light comes too. And I think there's something just amazing about being celibate right now during this time, because it's so protected, like you feel. I'll tell you one thing is my creativity, my ability to get more done, to handle more. It's really incredible how I'm expanding through practicing celibacy. And so that's me, and that's just my personal experience, and that's just what I've noticed is like, wow. I mean, we're doing like 6 solo books, we have multiple collaborative books, like, and there's just no way I could be doing this like if I was dealing with the succubus energy at all, because that succubus energy keeps you away from your mission. It keeps your mind going. It's like it wants to make you obsessed with people. It wants to take path. It wants to destroy you. That succubus wants every last breath of your life. And
Yeah.
it wants your mind to kindly always be obsessed and go crazy. It's like, no, you're not, like, no way. You know what? I'm seeing people going crazy, and the more that they do, the more that I'm in my center, because I'm not going down that path. I know who I am. I know why I'm here, and I'm on my path and my purpose, and I'm not letting anybody get in my way.
Oh, yes.
Oh, so that's not to say that, divine union isn't amazing. But in this day and age, don't be in a rush to make things work when they're not meant to. Don't be in a rush to be with, people that aren't aligned with you. You gotta, if you're really on your spiritual path right now, it's important to wait and wait for the right person, and trust and believe that they exist, because there's somebody beautiful that is looking for you too, but maybe they have standards, and you know, they're not just gonna take whatever comes across their lap. They want to wait for what feels divine, what's aligned, and also maybe they have discernment about what clean energy is, and they're not, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Sign me up for that one.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. We need to have like a clean energy dating site.
That would be amazing.
Oh my goodness.
Maybe we can be the founders of that. I'm down.
I have a feeling there will be, like, dating sites in the future that will be like.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm excited. I mean, honestly, like, who wouldn't want the best of the best? At least what's best for you, because what could be for your highest and best, not for everyone. And I think, well, at least for me, you get to a point where you don't really need validation from anybody. You realize, like, you really start to love yourself, to a very deep, strong level. And the inner work that you do, shadow work, inner child work, will free you from getting kind of pulled into the succubus energy, or that obsessive needy. I mean, it does start in some cases very slow, and sometimes it's a very strong sexual attraction. So I really enjoyed this topic, Radha, because again, sacred sex is hot. It's sexy to me, and I love sex. I mean, who doesn't love sacred sex? So I felt like it was really important for us to retouch on this, because it was never, again, my intention, our intention, to either offend or send the wrong message. I just feel that this is a beautiful topic, and maybe in the future I'll do some tantra with my beloved.
That's amazing. Like, you can actually. So on a positive note, I just want to say that, like, sex is so powerful that you can create, like, when you really find a beloved, you can manifest together. You can use your sexual energy, because sexual energy is the most powerful energy, and that's why it's abused. That's why that's why the succubuses want it. Because
Right.
that's creation energy. That's your God source, divine. That is your creator, manifester energy. And when you waste it on things that are not worth it, you're giving away your light. You're giving away your life. And when you savor what's so powerful, and you build it, and then you learn to use it in a way that creates rather than destroys, you can manifest the life of your dreams. You can manifest so much with your beloved. And so I really do believe that, true divine beloveds are finding each other. And as I said, that was kind of a slip up. They're finding themselves, but I think a lot of times they're off finding themselves first, and really learning to love themselves. And then from there, when they have a deeper self-love, they can match each other. Their frequencies are going to match. And then you're going to create from a place that's so much more, empowered. It's co-creation, because you're not going to be playing mental games,
Right.
sexual games. You're not going to do all that, because you understand you don't have to drop to those low frequencies of mind games. And part of that is the mind control, which we'll
Right.
touch on another day. But the mind control of men and women are enemies that we're head to, like, this kind of war that was generated between the sexes of who's more powerful, right? And women have used that succubus sexual energy to like control men. And I think that's something we just have to say, because that's the truth. They've used that to control, but that's not love either. And then the men have used other tactics, financials or whatever, to control the feminine. So when you just drop your swords and you come forward in a way that's really authentic, I think beautiful things can happen. And we are coming to a time where we all want peace, we all want health, we all want happiness, and we all know, and maybe we don't all know, but somewhere deep in our hearts we know that the golden age is upon us, and we are co-creating that. And that's why we have to make choices now that are going to be sustainable, so we can really be the warriors of light that we are, and not be infected. We're trying to get rid of this infection of this whole infection that we've all been we've all had to experience, and inversions that we're releasing. So part of that is also being okay with standing on our own 2 feet, and then learning that we can then co-create in a beautiful way.
Thank you for speaking what's on my heart and the path that I live my life, because it's so funny. I love talking with you because I say certain things, you say certain things, and I'm just like, wow, she said it in the way that I would have loved to have shared. But that's what makes these conversations so special. It's all perspectives, and this is, in the individuals that will listen will have their perspectives. So the beautiful thing that you mentioned was the manifesting, the co-creation, which is the most, like, to me, that's like the pillar of once you've completed that whole self-mastery, and then you go into the connecting with your beloved, and then it's like boom, you're creating that life you desire the most. So you're right. I mean, we all want health, happiness, and to grow into this new age. So yeah, thank you, Radhaa. Gosh.
Thank you too, and thank you all for hanging around and listening with us. We love you, and we're sending you so much, so much good energy. We really want the best for all of us. So until next time, much love and blessings. Bye for now.